From the very beginning of its history, the United States of America became a nation that would shape the course of others. Its path was not easy, but through the fight for independence, achievements in science and technology, and a unique political system, the USA managed to become one of the most influential countries in the world. The history of America is a story of a nation that is constantly evolving, adapting, and influencing the globe. Early stages, colonization and conflicts. To understand how the United States emerged, we must look back to the first European explorers who arrived on the American continent. The earliest such voyages date back to the late 15th century, when Christopher Columbus discovered the New World. Soon, various European nations, such as England, France, Spain, and the Netherlands, began colonizing territories in both North and South America. In the 16th and 17th centuries, the British established colonies along the eastern coast, while Europeans, seeking new opportunities for wealth and religious freedom, continued to settle in the New World. African slaves were also brought to these lands to work on plantations. As the colonies grew, so did the diversity of the people who settled them, leading to the social and political tensions that would shape the future. In addition, the increasing control exerted by the British government became burdensome for the colonists. High taxes without representation in Parliament, restrictions on trade, and demands for military resources led to growing discontent. The American Revolution, from struggle to victory. The events that took place after 1765 proved pivotal in the fight for independence. In 1773, the famous Boston Tea Party occurred when colonists, protesting British tax policies, dumped tea into Boston Harbor. This was just the beginning of a chain of events that ultimately led to revolution. In 1775, the American Revolutionary War broke out between the British and the American colonies. The colonists, led by figures such as George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, and others, united to fight for their right to self-determination. They established the Continental Congress, which served as the government of the colonies, and in 1776, they declared their independence from Great Britain through the Declaration of Independence. The war lasted until 1783 and ended with the victory of the American forces, who received support from France and other European nations. The result of the war was the recognition by Great Britain of the independence of the United States. Building a new nation, the Constitution and expansion. After gaining independence, the newly formed country began to build its political and economic systems. The first document that defined the framework for governance was the United States Constitution, adopted in 1787. This document laid the foundations for democratic rule by enshrining principles of separation of powers and individual rights. The United States began to expand rapidly, acquiring new territories through purchases, such as the Louisiana Purchase of 1803, and through conflicts with Native American tribes and neighboring countries. One of the key movements during this period was a Manifest Destiny, which held that it was America's destiny to spread its culture and democratic ideals across the continent. This expansion led to rapid population growth, but it also exacerbated social conflicts, particularly the issue of slavery. The southern states relied heavily on slave labor for their plantations, while the northern states, with their industrial economy, had abolished slavery. The Civil War, a struggle for unity and freedom. The conflict between the North and the South ultimately led to the Civil War in 1861 to 1865. The main issue was slavery, but it also revolved around states' rights and federal authority. The southern states, seeking to preserve slavery, declared their secession from the Union and formed the Confederacy. The war was extraordinarily bloody, with hundreds of thousands of Americans dying on the battlefield. Ultimately, the Northern forces, led by Abraham Lincoln, emerged victorious, and slavery was abolished with the passage of the 13th Amendment to the Constitution in 1865. This marked the beginning of a new era for America, although the wounds of the war and the post-war issues, such as the rights of African Americans, remained unresolved for many years. Industrialization and the rise of a great nation. After the Civil War, the United States entered a period of rapid industrialization that brought significant changes to its economy and society. Railroads, factories, and new technologies such as the telegraph, telephone, and new forms of transportation transformed the nation. This was a time of great ideas and innovation. Engineers and entrepreneurs like Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, and John D. Rockefeller helped to shape the economy through mass production and technological advancements. The influx of immigrants, particularly from Europe, created a multicultural society. At the same time, the rapid growth of industry led to worsening working conditions, which sparked the rise of the labor movement and the fight for workers' rights. The 20th century, America on the global stage. The 20th century marked a time of global influence for the United States. The first few decades saw America working to establish its place in international affairs, and by the time of the two world wars, it had firmly become a dominant global power. The USA participated in World War I, but its global influence was truly realized only after World War II when it emerged as one of two superpowers, alongside the Soviet Union. After World War II, the U.S. helped rebuild war-torn Europe through the Marshall Plan and became heavily involved in global affairs, seeking to contain the spread of communism during the Cold War. The U.S. fought in the Korean and Vietnam Wars, as well as numerous other international conflicts. During the mid-20th century, the U.S. became a symbol of economic prosperity and cultural influence. Hollywood, rock and roll, fashion, and technology gained worldwide recognition. Modern challenges and the future of the USA. Today, the United States faces numerous challenges, including economic inequality, social unrest, climate change, and geopolitical tensions. However, it remains a leading center for innovation, particularly in areas such as technology, science, and medicine. America continues to be a symbol of many values, democracy, freedom, and equal rights, but it also grapples with new problems that require modern solutions. The United States of America is a country that arose from the struggle for independence and continues to evolve. It remains one of the most influential countries in the world, actively shaping the global order.